Good morning, dear students. I am Dr. Bandana, and this lecture is for MA second semester student. This is the second part of the lecture. Okay, and here I will do the discussion of key points of this text. Okay, A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. This text is very seminal. Okay, a landmark text in the history of feminist discourse. This is a very poignant, brilliant, and thought-provoking essay. And when it appeared in 1929, it evoked an unprecedented emotional and intellectual response. Since then, it has attained an iconic status among feminist critics. Okay, Woolf here talking about or discussing various issues that are related with women writers. Okay, the obstacles which they are facing, the dearth of women writer, or the literature which they are producing of inferior kind, the tradition which is not available to them, and the disapproval and criticism which the women writers have to face, and what kind of a new style and technique they should adopt, they should write. Okay, so issues are related especially with women artists. Okay, the first thing which this text is pointing out, the obstacles which are being faced by a female artist. So the first thing is leisure time. She's so much preoccupied in household works. She's entrapped in children rearing and housekeeping that she does not have a time to get involved in creativity. And the second thing is privacy. For privacy, she needs a room. Room is the literal meaning is a room is a place she needs where she's free from all kind of interruptions and distractions. But the room is also, metaphorically, it means a lot of things. It means a space which is free from all kind of men's subjugation, men's discrimination, men's prejudice. It is a patriarchal society. It is a male-dominated society where the males have power, wealth, position, everything they do have, and the women, they are not having. So the women artists, they are in need of a place, a space where they can get involved in creativity without being the fear of disapproved, without being fear of being criticized by men, free from all kind of hustle and bustle. This interruption and distraction is psychological. This interruption and distraction is as well as the physical, all kind of physical, free from physical, psychological, domestic, social barriers, all kind of freedom from all kind of barriers, and a space where freely she can think, she can engross in creativity. So she is in need of a room of one's own. So she is deprived of formal education, or the education which has been given to her, that is of a very poor kind. And so the text is raising various issues, okay, that are related with women. Why the men are having everything, why the women are not having. And if a woman artist wants to write, she needs privacy, an income, and a room of her own. Okay, so these are the key points of the text. When Virginia Woolf was been invited to deliver a lecture, and the topic of the lecture was women in fiction, and then she says what she is going to tell in this discussion, like the title is women in fiction. So maybe she can discuss what constitutes women, what are women like, what are their perspective, their thought process, their ideologies, what they think before writing, what are the themes. Okay, so the first thing in women and fiction is what constitutes women. The second is the fiction that is written by women. What are the techniques, subject matter which a female artist will use. Or the third is the fiction that is written about women, where the men are writing about women. Okay, so women are here the subject matters. So either she can talk about what constitutes women, what they write, and what is written about them, or combination of an amalgamation of all these threes. Okay, so to express her views, Woolf has used a fictional narrator whom she calls Mary Betten, and she says you can call her by any name. There is nothing in the name. You can call her Mary Betten, Mary Seton, or Mary Carter Michael, or any name you please. So the question comes, why does she use a fictional narrator? Actually, through the fictional narrator, she wants to synthesize fact and fiction, and she has a very great regard for fiction, because Woolf is of the opinion that the fiction can narrate the realities from every angle. Fiction is not taking us into the world of imagination, but it is telling about the reality in much more better way. So defining fiction in the text, she says, for fiction, imaginative work, that is not dropped like a pebble upon the ground, as science may be. Fiction is like a spider's web, attached ever so lightly perhaps, but still attached to life at all four corners. So fiction tells the truth from every angle. Okay, though slightly it is attached, but it tells the truth. So while using a fictional narrator, she does not want to take us into the world of imagination, but she wants to tell the very truth of life. It may be bitter, it may be unconventional, it may be may not be accepted by the people, but this is the truth. Okay, and although she's giving a name to this fictional narrator, but she's giving the readers freedom to choose any name. Okay, it's because this lack of one true identity for the narrator gives the room of one's own a sense of being universal. The ideas apply to all women, not just one. The lack of one identity also makes the narrator more convincing. So that's why she has used an alter ego, a fictional narrator, to tell about the experience of all the women, not only one woman artist, but this is the experience of women in general, and this text has a universal and enduring aspect. Okay, whenever any woman artist is reading this text, they immediately connecting herself with the thoughts which Virginia Woolf is sharing with her readers through this text. There are 6 chapters in the essay. The setting of the first chapter is in Oxbridge University, and the rest of the chapters are rest of the 5 chapters are in London. Okay, the setting of the first chapter is in Oxbridge College, and the theme of the first chapter is poverty of women. So she here asks the question why women are poor and how this poverty is affecting their creativity. So the narrator begins her investigation at Oxbridge College, where she reflects on the different educational experiences available to men and women, as well as on more material differences in their lives. Okay, so she goes to the 2 colleges, one men and one women. She's having a lunch in the men college, and where she has a very sumptuous, lavish lunch, and in women college, a very poor kind of meager dinner has been provided to her. So what she's pointing here, the differences that is existing in the society. The males, they are having all the facilities, and they are free to get involved in creativity, while women are not. Okay, so this material differences she is pointing out in the chapter first. In the second chapter, the setting is in the British Museum, in the library. Okay, and here she is talking about the aggression of men, and she is putting a question before us, why men are angry. This society is male dominated society. The men, they are having everything. They are having power, pelf and position. Despite that, they are always speaking against of women. They are having a lot of prejudice against women, and she's trying to point out, or she is searching the answer of this question, why men are angry despite having everything. Okay, the society is providing them everything. So she tells that in the life is full of struggles, perpetual struggle, and to overcome these struggles we need confidence. Self-confidence is needed to overcome all these struggles. Okay, and how to gain this self-confidence? The self-confidence can be gained with the superiority complex, and the superiority complex comes when one is inferior. One is having the superordinate position and the other is having the subordinate position. So the men, to gain strength, to gain power, to gain self-confidence, to gain superiority complex, they have always underestimated the worth, the talent and the capacity of women. And then to prove their power, they have always said wrong about women. So this is the cause of men's anger against women. So in the text she is talking about the anger of men also and anger of women also. Women are angry because they are worried or they are upset with the plight of women, seeing the condition, the sufferings, the predicament, the discrimination which is meted out against women, seeing that they are talking about the they are angry. Okay, so in the second chapter, the narrator spends a day in the British Library pursuing the scholarship on women, all of which been what she has observed, that most of the books, they are written by men. Even about women, it is men who are writing. So the real perspective, real ideas, real thinking of women are absent from the literature. Okay, and they have written about women, and they have written the writing is showing their anger. Okay, so now she turns towards history. She gets a book written by a professor, and she finds very little data about the everyday lives of women. Okay, how they live, how they work throughout the day. So because of this very reason, the narrator decides to reconstruct the existence of invisible women imaginatively. Though the narrator is fictional, though some creation is fictional, like Judith Shakespeare, Mary Carmichael, or some other writers, they are the fictional writers. Imaginatively she is reconstructing, but she is telling the very bitter truth through them. She is pointing out the actualities of the life, the realities of the life, though it may appear bitter, but that is the truth. She talks about, in the third chapter, women in fiction versus women in history. Now she is focusing a very significant aspect. The aspect is this thing, that the women in fiction, they are been presented in a very exalted manner. They are very sophisticated, very talented, very intellectual women. But there exists a great difference between reality and imagination. In real work, they are been subjugated, they are been slapped, beaten, humiliated, underestimated, while in the literary world, in literary canvas, they are highly been glorified. So the difference is existing between the imaginative world and the real world. In the fictional world, the women are given the utmost importance, while in history they are absent. So if they are absent, so what is the opinion of the narrator? The narrator wants to reconstruct the existence of women imaginatively, and that's why she has reconstructed an imaginative writer. She is Judith Shakespeare, the sister of William Shakespeare, and she's pointing out that this sister of Shakespeare, she's talented, she's having genius, she's having exceptional intellectual faculties. She aspired to become a writer. She wants to get involved in like in various activities like her brother, while the brother has got all the facilities. He married to a girl of his choice. He mixes with the people. He's been allowed to go to school, so he has a formal education. While this talented, gifted sister, she's denied of everything. She's entrapped in household work. She's forced to get married, but she wants to continue her talent, so she runs away. And then she's been given a false assurance by a theater person who makes her pregnant, and then at the end she commits suicide. So through the imaginative sister of William Shakespeare and through her tragic fate, though it is an imaginative story, but she's telling the reality of the story, the reality of realities, that is the bitter realities that are related with women. The women, it's not that they are not having intellectual faculty. It's not that they do not want to be the successful person. They don't want to acquire fame. They aspire for that, but the society is not at all providing any kind of conducive environment to them. Hence, the end is they are becoming neurotic or they are committing suicide. So the end of the tragic end of Julius Shakespeare is the tragic end of all the women, great women who are aspiring to become great, but the society is not providing those facilities, those opportunities which have been given to men. So intelligent women in this society, they are having the same tragic fate as the Julius Shakespeare is having. This is in the 3rd chapter. In the 4th chapter, the narrator is talking about telling us the history of women writers from 16th century to 19th century. And when she is searching, she rarely gets any writer, a women writer, successful women writer, 1 and 2, and one very successful one is Aphra Behn. Aphra Behn, she is highly she's giving high appreciation for her work, for her boldness, and then she talks about the women novelists in 19th century, the 4 significant: Charlotte Bronte and Emily Bronte, Jane Austen, George Eliot. And then she's talking about their life also, why they have used the pen name, and she's talking about that most of these women, they are issueless, childless, so that's why they were being able to get involved in creativity. Okay, so she considers the achievement of the major women novelists of the 19th century and reflects on the importance of tradition on the aspiring writer. Though these writers, they have tried to write, but they have they are not having any tradition of female writing. The traditions which were available, that was the tradition related with the men, not with the women. Here the narrator has also pointed out the themes which are related with the man's values are been given more important, like war and peace, that has been given more important, but the drawing room experience has always been looked on upon by the society. And she also talks about the early 19th century female novelists. They have no real tradition from which to work. They lacked even a prose style fit for a woman. Okay, and in the 5th chapter, she's talking about an imaginary writer, Mary Carmichael. She has written a book, Life's Adventure. Okay, viewing Carmichael as a descendant of the female writers, she has commented on the narrator dissects her book. She finds the prose style uneven, perhaps as a rebellion against the flowery reputation of women's writing. So here is a woman who has started writing from a different angle, from using a different techniques. And the very significant aspect which she is focusing in this chapter is the relationship between women and women. Okay, so Chloe liked Olivia. This is something very revolutionary, groundbreaking thought in literature. Before her, the writers have not talked about it, the critics have not talked about it. Like the relationship always which has been shown in the fiction, the relationship of men with women. Okay, and men is having the position, women is having the subordinate position. So here for the first time somebody is talking the relationship between women and women, and I like this concept very much. Why? Because when the males, when the men writers, they are writing, they have always written in a way, in a very prejudiced way about the relationship between women and women. They have written, or in common parlance, it is popular that women are against of women, women hates women, women never see the progress of any women. But it's not like that, they hate. So here is a concept that is Chloe Light Oliver. It's like she has a, and I think in India we have the concept of Sakhi. A woman is expressing her views more comfortable while talking to the other women. So this aspect is really been depicted in literature. Okay, so the idea of friendship between two women is groundbreaking in literature, as women have historically been viewed in literature only in relation to men. Okay, and let us take the text Mrs. Dalloway, where Clarissa loves or likes her girlfriend Sally Satan. So this is a relationship which later on been developed by the other female writers, woman-woman relationship. And the 6th chapter, that is talking about androgynous mind. Actually here the writer is giving us suggestions to women writers how they should write. They should not write with anger. They should not try to experiment without there is a need of that kind of experiment. So she is giving a suggestion that whenever a woman writer wants to write, she must have the power of both the minds, male minds as well as the female minds. So androgynous concept means fusion of brains of male and female, the faculties, the capacities, the abilities of both the gender. Okay, this concept was been used by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, but she liked it and she is using here. So by androgynous, she wants to say when a fusion of male and female powers takes place, the mind is fully fertilized and uses all its faculties. So a fully developed androgynous mind would not think specifically of his or her sex. She offers here a suggestion that one should write with an androgynous mind, allowing both the softness of the feminine, and power of the masculine to come forth in words. Okay, so fusion of both the things. So these are the 3 chapters that are dealing about the different topics. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.